When Sarah moved into the old apartment building, the landlord gave her just one peculiar warning. Do not, under any circumstances, enter room 304. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. All right, I won't. But I have to ask, why? The landlord's hand trembled slightly as he handed her the keys. Because that room, he said, his voice barely a whisper, it watches back. Sarah dismissed it as just another local superstition, the kind of spooky tale old buildings collect over the years. Besides, the rent was a steal, and she desperately needed a place to stay. The building itself was quiet, almost unnaturally so. There were no sounds of children playing, no laughter echoing through the halls. The only thing that broke the silence was the slow, deliberate sound of footsteps in the corridors late at night. On her very first night, as she was unpacking, she noticed something odd. She glanced at the full-length mirror leaning against her bedroom wall. Her reflection seemed off. When she moved her arm, her reflection was delayed, just for a fraction of a second, like a lagging video call. She blinked hard, rubbing her eyes. It's just my imagination, she whispered to the empty room, trying to convince herself. I'm just tired from the move. That night, sleep didn't come easily. And then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., a sound jolted her wide awake. Knock, knock, knock. The sound was sharp and close. It wasn't coming from her front door. It came from the wall, her bedroom wall, the one she shared with the forbidden room 304. Sarah froze, every muscle in her body tensing. The knocking stopped. Silence descended again, but it was a heavy, suffocating silence. And then she heard it, a sound that made her blood run cold. Breathing, slow, deep, and rhythmic. Coming from inside the wall, as if someone was standing just on the other side. She pulled the covers over her head, her heart pounding against her ribs like a drum. She didn't sleep a wink for the rest of the night. The next morning, sleep-deprived and on edge, she decided she had to ask someone about room 304. She saw her next-door neighbor, an elderly woman, in the hallway. "Excuse me," Sarah began, trying to sound casual. "I was just wondering, do you know anything about room 304? The woman's friendly expression vanished, replaced by a look of sheer terror. Her face turned pale. "A girl lived there once," she said, her voice dropping to a hush. "A long time ago, she was obsessed with mirrors. Collected them, lined her walls with them." The woman paused, glancing nervously at the end of the hall. One day, she started screaming. Screamed for hours. The other tenants got so scared they called for help. When they finally broke down the door, the room was empty. Empty. "You mean she just left?" Sarah asked, her own unease growing. The old woman shook her head slowly, her eyes wide. No body. No sign of a struggle. Just mirrors. Hundreds of them, of all shapes and sizes, covering every single surface. The walls, the ceiling, even the floor. It was like standing inside a diamond. That night, a sense of dread hung over Sarah like a shroud. She couldn't shake the neighbor's story. Against her better judgment, she found herself standing in front of her own bedroom mirror again. She stared at her reflection, searching for that strange delay from the night before. But this time, it was worse, much worse. Her reflection didn't move at all. It was completely still. A perfect, frozen image of her. It just stared back with empty, lifeless eyes. And then, it smiled. A slow, wide, unnatural smile that didn't reach its eyes. Sarah stumbled backward, a gasp escaping her lips. Her reflection didn't stumble. It remained perfectly still, its smile fixed in place. Then, it slowly raised its hand. From inside the mirror, the reflection knocked on the glass. The sound was muffled but clear. Crack. A thin, spiderweb-like fracture appeared on the surface of the mirror. Her reflection knocked again. Crack. Crack. The lines spread across the glass, distorting the horrifying image. Whispers began to fill the room, seeming to come from all directions at once. A chorus of faint, hissing voices. They all spoke one chilling phrase: "You're in my room now." With a final, deafening crash, the mirror shattered, exploding outward. Shards of glass flew across the room. Before Sarah could even scream, cold, phantom hands shot out from the dark, gaping hole where the mirror once stood. They grabbed her arms, her legs, her hair, pulling her forward with impossible strength. She was dragged into the suffocating darkness, the cold void swallowing her whole. The last thing she saw was her own apartment, perfectly normal, perfectly empty. And standing right where she had been just a moment ago was a figure that looked exactly like her, breathing calmly, a faint, triumphant smile playing on its lips. The next day, the landlord showed the apartment to a new prospective tenant. "It's a lovely space. Just became available," he said with a practiced smile. The new tenant, a young man, walked around, pleased with the layout and the cheap rent. He stopped in the bedroom, noticing a brand new, ornate mirror hanging on the wall. He leaned in closer to check his appearance, and from inside the glass, a reflection stared back. It was Sarah, and she smiled. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another journey into the shadows. Until next time, stay safe.